The Observer Corps was first formed in 1925 by Lord Ashmore when it was required to find a defensive system along the east coast to London, as in the 1418 war the German Zeppelins travelled along that coast to bomb London and associated towns on the coast. And so it was designed to have a system where it could be told on when an aircraft was being approached to an area, and then it could be logged and defensive forces could be put in action against them. So in 1925 Lord Ashmore started off the Observer Corps. They did various short exercises and in communication with each other in various parts until 1939. In 1939 April, the posts were, Holbeach post was first formed, just on the outskirts of Holbeach. It was where it was first formed, and enclosures with sandbags round it, and a wooden shed in which to put your bicycle when you got there, and also to do storage and get it in when it rained. It was in that field during the war, and it was actually operated by reserved occupation people who had shops and things in the town and had a reserved occupation that they would not be called up for military service. And they operated that on a voluntary basis, and that went on all through the war. And until 1947, when the 45, when the Observer Corps was stood down. In 1941, the Observer Corps became the Royal Observer Corps, as its work in the cooperation with the RAF in the Battle of Britain, and that award by the King in 1944 for the actual honour of being a great help in the Battle of Britain. It was said afterwards that without the Royal Observer Corps, the Battle of Britain could not have been won. Anyway, as it went on, the Holbeach post stood down in 45, and it was recalled again in 1947. It was thought that with the way that the Russian forces and government was acting, that we might need to use it again. And so we started up again in 1947, and from 1947 until 1954, we were still down Plowright's Field in Fen Road. In 1955, when I joined the Observer Corps, the Royal Observer Corps, I went on to a field down Fleet Road, Holbeach, belonging to Mr. Carter, where we only had 6 concrete paving slabs and 8 wooden stakes about 5 foot long, driven into the ground with an Asian screen round it. Our communications was coupled to a telephone pole, a little box with 2 knurled screws in it, in which you hooked on the wires, and it went to a landline telephone, which had a ringer and a bell. And so we were in communication with headphone and breast set with the headquarters. It was there for about a year, and then we moved site to the new site on Washway Road in Holbeach, and at that time on the field belonged to Mr. Lane, we just had a brick above ground post, and that post was there for about 5 years when we had when they acquired a bigger piece of land and built the underground post on that site. That post is the one that is still there in good order and is working till today. It's still there and it's visited periodically. It was given to me originally by Mr. Lane, and as I had no way of looking after it as such, I got in touch with Lincolnshire Heritage, and Lincolnshire Heritage and Mr. Lane agreed that they could turn it over to heritage people, and that would become a historical part of the Observer Corp in Holbeach. The idea of the underground monitoring post was to monitor nuclear fallout, the effects of what you get from a nuclear bomb are the fact that you get fallout which goes up at the point where the bomb bursts as more or less like steam, and it condenses and falls back to Earth. It was then monitored by various instruments on the post, and the first indication that you would have that a bomb had gone off was when the bomb power indicator would show the needle movement, and that movement would stay in position until it was reset half a minute afterwards in case there was a second bomb. The position of the bomb in relation to the post was recorded on the ground zero indicator. This was a photographic pinhole camera type which had 4 cassettes marked off in degrees, in which there was a photographic paper. That photographic paper would photograph the bomb as a black or brown blob, and then you could from the graph on the paper, you could find out exactly where the bomb went off by triangulating with 2 of the posts. You could get the exact spot where the bomb went off. You could also tell whether it was a ground burst or an air burst from the paper and the graticle on the graph. The next indicator then would be a warning from the warning centre saying that you had a fallout approaching, and you would then batten down the hatches and go downstairs, and you would read off the fixed survey meter, which was an instrument connected to an ionisation chamber about 3 foot above the ground in a plastic dome up a sleeve from down the post on a telescopic rod. And those readings were then recorded and passed on to headquarters, and then the team of triangulators and workers in the headquarters would then decide which way the power which way the fallout from the bomb was going, and you could clear a path ahead of the fallout if you needed to move people such as troops or put them underground until the cloud had gone over. That was the main reason that we were down there.